number LA2519684.
And now time for the Expert Minute, brought to you by Sugarland Exterminating.
Ever wonder why bugs seem to love your home as much as you do? One big reason: moisture. Roaches, termites, and ants are drawn to damp areas. Check under sinks, around windows, and in attics for leaks and excess moisture. A little home maintenance goes a long way in keeping pests out. Got unwanted guests? Call Sugarland Exterminating at 337-367-1414 or visit sugarlandexterminating.com for more information.
Sugarland Exterminating. Pest-free environment we're creating. Spiders, roaches, rats, and mice. Those awful termites are not so nice. Get rid of all your pests right now. Call Sugarland Exterminating.
Termites, they're here. They're invasive. They can destroy your home if left untreated. Sugarland Exterminating has been in business for over 50 years, and they have the experience to effectively treat termites. Call 367-1414 or visit sugarlandexterminating.com.
And that has been your Expert Minute, brought to you by Sugarland Exterminating.
Live from Upper Lafayette, this is ESPN 1037 KLWB Carencro Lafayette, KLCJ-FM Oak Grove Lake Charles 1041, a Delta Media station.
This game isn't fun. This game is a war.
It's time for the 2-minute drill.
Hurry it up, hurry it up, hurry it up.
Powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you.
Come on, let's go, you guys. Get in here, we gotta go fast now.
The Houston Astros dropped last night's game with the San Francisco Giants 4-1 to split the series in the Bay. Hunter Brown had an up-and-down outing, going 5 innings, giving up 3 runs on 5 hits with 4 strikeouts and 3 walks. Game 3 and the rubber match will be today, and it'll be Brian King getting the start for Houston, while San Francisco has yet to name their starter. First pitch is at 2:45 p.m., and you can listen to it on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles. Around the AL West, the New York Yankees defeated the Seattle Mariners 4-1. The Los Angeles Angels beat the Texas Rangers 3-2, and the Tampa Bay Rays crushed the Athletics 12-4. With the Rangers loss to the Angels, Houston still sits in first place by a half game. The New Orleans Saints announced yesterday that Drew Brees will be inducted into the Saints Ring of Honor. The ceremony will take place during halftime of the Saints game against the Minnesota Vikings on October 11th in the Superdome. The NBA released its 3 opening day matchups yesterday morning, with the new season set to tip off on October 20th. The Detroit Pistons will host the Boston Celtics in the first game of the season at 2 p.m. Then at 6 p.m., LeBron James makes his 76ers debut in the Big Apple against the New York Knicks. And then the night will wrap up at 8:30 with the Oklahoma City Thunder at the San Antonio Spurs. Former Raging Cajun golfer Milan Potgieter is currently tied for 9th after the first 2 rounds of the U.S. Amateur Championship in Pennsylvania. Potgieter sits at 3 under and will begin match play today with the rest of the top 64 in the field. I'm Blake Purser, and you're listening to ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles. Your home for the LSU Tigers and the Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you. Dawson Iserloh prides himself on taking a deep dive to uncover all the relevant data about the sports and sports teams he loves. And now he's sharing all those facts inside his big brain with all of you. Here is the LohDown with D-Loh on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
It is the LohDown. It is Wednesday. We are inside the Beal and Hebert studios in Upper Lafayette. It is a shortened edition of the show, not by a ton, just by a few segments here, because we do have Astros daytime baseball. It's actually a pretty significant day for the Astros. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But it's a big day on the show in a lot of reasons. For one, we're going to go head out to Baton Rouge for a fall camp update at the top of the second hour. That's kind of how we're going to close down the show with Zach Nagy. Kind of haven't really had a chance to do that a ton. Same way yesterday we said we really hadn't talked about Cajuns football. There's been so much Saints and NFL, and so with all the Drew Brees stuff that went down, it's a good chance for us to kind of check back in and see how fall camp has been unwinding with, or winding. I guess unwinding is not the right phrase. With Zach, who's been over there, of course, covering it all for 247. And today is officially the start of Preview 32. We are back. We are going at it. We're diving in head first. We've got 1 today. We've got 2 tomorrow. We're going to roll them out from now until the start of the regular season. If you're unfamiliar, Preview 32 is where We take a look at each NFL team. We're going to give love to everybody. From start to finish, we will do an in-depth look at all 32 NFL teams with someone who covers the team closely and knows them better than I do. It is a combination of sports reporters, podcasters, radio voices, television analysts, all kinds of different things, but somebody who specifically covers the team we're talking about on that given day, right? And it's been a kind of a fun exercise for us. This will be year number 3. Last year, we started something new. This year, we're going to tweak it again. We're going to have another kind of set question we ask everybody. But the way we're actually going to start today's show is by taking a look back at Preview 32 from last year a little bit. So today is the start, and we will begin in the NFC South with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Kind of fitting, right? I was in Tampa just a couple of weeks ago at SEC Media Days. So we will head to Tampa. They've got some intrigue. They've got some offseason storylines. James Yarko is the host of the Locked On Bucs podcast. He is returning for another season to be our Bucs representative on Preview 32. So that officially kicks us off at the bottom of hour number 1. 1:30, we'll welcome Yarko back onto the show, and we'll get Preview 32 rocking and rolling. The United States Amateur Golf Tournament, you heard it in the drill there. Blake gave an update. Milan Pocketer, UL golfer, who is so talented. It's been awesome to get a chance to talk with Milan a little bit and watch him play. 9th out of 311 golfers after the first 2 rounds of that thing, which means he comfortably moved on to the round of 64. It's now match play from here on out. So it's mano-a-mano, 1v1, all the way through. If Milan finds a way to somehow win this U.S. Amateur, he gets into the U.S. Open, the Open Championship next year, the Masters as well, I think, if he agrees to keep amateur status, something like that. The rules are pretty complicated there, but regardless, he's going to be playing in major championships next season if he can find a way to win this thing. But there's still 64 incredible golfers left in the field, including some names like some of the top amateurs in the world. Miles Russell is in there. So it should be fun to keep track of that. He did just start, by the way. So he's the 9 seed. So you basically get seeded on how you performed in the first 2 rounds, right? And so he is the 9 seed. He plays the 56 seed William Jennings, and that match just started, as a matter of fact, about a half hour ago. Milan won the first hole, and then William Jennings won the second hole. So they're actually all squared through 2. We'll keep you up to date. Obviously, that match is not going to be anywhere close to finish by the time we sign off the airwaves, but we'll give you one last check-in, maybe towards the end of the first hour, on how he's doing. But I'm excited to follow along with Milan and see if he can make a run at the U.S. Amateur. In addition to that, we've got some other things to get to here today. The Eagles are making fun of their own team on social media, which I don't fully understand. The Tulane Green Wave unveiled some absolutely beautiful new uniforms. So it's going to kind of be a fun, relaxed day here on the show. We'll walk you all the way through to the beginning of Astros pregame. Astro launch starts at promptly 2:15 with a 2:45 first pitch out in San Francisco. So without further ado, I mentioned it. Let's start the show off with a look back at last year's Preview 32. It's officially Preview 32 day here on the show. Let's get locked in.
D-Loh is the kind of guy that stays locked in. On what? Well, that depends on the night. But you can guarantee there was some sporting event that he found interesting. It's time to find out what D-Loh was locked in on the LohDown.
Okay, so as I mentioned, this is the 3rd year we've done it. Last year, I threw a little wrinkle in there. I got a record prediction from each person. And I thought to myself, this is going to be interesting because, as we know, I don't think all these people are biased, right? I don't think they're all meaning to be all glass half full. But when you cover a team, whether you're the most, independently journalistic person with all the integrity in the world, I think there's just some biases that just naturally get factored in because you're around that team every day. And unless you're around a team that you really think stinks from the get-go, my prediction was that people were going to be higher on these teams than they maybe should have been because they're around them. So I had a little database that I was compiling here. I have to admit, I don't know what happened to like half of it. I have 14 teams that we did, and then the other 18 have disappeared out of my notebook. Like, literally, the pages are gone. So I'm guessing what happened is somewhere along the year, I wanted to, reference the data that I had, and I took them out of the notebook, and I guess I didn't put them back in. So Of the 14 that we have here, we have 13 official record predictions that I uncovered, and I went through today and I matched up all the actual records from last year with the predicted records that each person who covers that respective team gave me, right? So we have 13 of them. James Mesh, would you like to guess out of those 13 how many were above, how many actually exceeded the expectations of the person who covers the team versus how many were below their expectations? Would you like to guess out of 13?
I'll guess 9 were below expectations.
That is exactly correct, and I did not prep James on this.
That was awesome. 9
out of 13 performed below the expected records. The award for the most... The team that was the worst according to expectations was a tie between the Chiefs and the Commanders. Our guy Vasilios Nicolau had the Commanders at 12-5. He thought the roster was better than the year prior when they made a run to the NFC Championship game. And obviously we know things went terribly for them. Jaden Daniels missed more than half the season. They went 5-12. The Chiefs won. Like, I think it was a little bold for Vasilios to have the Commanders at 12-5 last year. The Chiefs being predicted to be 13-4 wasn't all that bold from our guy Ryan Tracy. But again, it was a disaster for them. So they ended up going 6-11. He had predicted them to go 13-4. But the general theme here is, as I kind of predicted, people were higher on their team that they cover than the teams actually end up being. There's 3, by the way, that actually exceeded, and there was 1 that had the record spot on. The person who correctly predicted their team's record last year was Alan Saunders, who covers the Pittsburgh Steelers. He had them at 10-7. They went 10-7. The 3 teams that overachieved were, according to the record prediction, were the Rams, the 49ers, and that's all I have. So I did my math wrong. Maybe that means James wasn't right after all. Yeah, you weren't exactly right, James. It was actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 underachieved instead of 9. I'm sorry. And I've
been lied to.
I did all this really. Like, I had it all written out, and it was a nice little graph, but unfortunately, I still messed up. So 10 below expectations. The only 2 were the Rams and Niners, so the NFC West did above. And I don't have the Seahawks in this data set, but I'm sure they overachieved as well because, no one really thought they were going to win the Super Bowl, and then they did. But you look around, like the team we're going to talk about today, the Bucs. James Yarko had them going 11-6 last year. They went 8-9. There were just teams, even the Giants. Lance Meadow, who, by the way, we already have booked. He's going to come on next week when we do the Giants Preview 32. He wasn't particularly high on the Giants. He thought they'd go 6-11, and they still managed to underachieve. They went 4-13. So I'm not going to do the same thing with the record predictions this year. I'm going to ask the question in a little bit different way that I think is maybe going to be more applicable. Something we can kind of just monitor throughout the season. But it was funny for me to look back on this and think about some of these notes. Like some of the notes I had, too. For the Browns, Jeff Lloyd told us Shador was pushing Flacco at practice. And that didn't, fully not come to fruition. Shador started some games last year, so maybe you can say that was true. But it just is interesting the way it actually turned out. And now all the Shador versus Deshaun Watson questions that we have coming in. Another one, by the way, that was way off of predicted is our friend Jake Liskow had the Bengals at 11-6. They went 6-11. And I asked him specifically about some of the contract decisions, and his big thing was look, the T. Higgins and Trey Hendrickson contract disputes last offseason, he thought were not really tied together. They were 2 separate conversations, but clearly the Bengals defensively and then the Burrow injury stuff, it was a rough year for Cincinnati, and we'll see if they end up being able to do anything this time around. How about this? This is a first in Preview 32. Our Dallas Cowboys correspondent last year was our friend Kyle Humans, and Kyle is not going to be coming back on to talk about the Cowboys this year, and that is because he was named the voice of the Baltimore Ravens in the offseason. So shout out to our guy Kyle, and I've already talked to him, and he said he'd love to come on and talk Ravens with us. So they've got a preseason game coming up this weekend that he's ramping up for. He said, how about next Tuesday? So there it is. It's on the books. So next Tuesday, we're going to talk Baltimore Ravens. We've got the Giants lined up for next week as well. The Atlanta Falcons will go tomorrow, as will the Chicago Bears. So Aaron Freeman back again, Locked on Falcons, to talk Falcons with us. And Lauren Cox will be here once more to talk about the Chicago Bears and Caleb Williams and company. So those will go tomorrow. As I mentioned before, we start things off strong with James Yarko coming up in just more, than 15 minutes. So fun little look back. Had to look at it. I really, James, if you find my extra 2 sheets that had the other teams from last year, let me know on that. I have no idea where those pieces of paper went. Maybe Blake stole them for his own intel. Not sure. Because it literally, like, I have the second and third pages. I don't have the first and the fourth page from my notes. And that is a little bit mind-boggling to me. But we'll try and be a little more organized about it this year, I guess. Anyway, all that being said, a couple random little sports stories of the day. I teased a couple of them at the top. I don't know what the Eagles are doing. I do know what Tulane's doing, and I kind of like it. So we'll talk about those 2 things and get things rolling after the break. You're listening to The LohDown. It's a Wednesday. Stay with us.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
With storm season having arrived, ESPN 103.7 Lafayette, 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana sports station, and Mid-South Power Solutions in Crowley bring you these hurricane safety tips. Make sure to secure your home and bring in outdoor items before the storm makes landfall. Have an emergency kit stocked with all your necessary water, food, and medications. Know your evacuation routes and listen to local authorities. Stay informed with a battery-powered radio and make sure you have fresh batteries. Remember, safety is in your hands. These hurricane preparedness tips are powered by Mid-South Power Solutions in Crowley, your local Generac dealer. Visit midsouthpowersolutions.com.
Make sure to set your alarm and tune in Saturday mornings at 10 o'clock for Sports Shorts here on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles. Join me, Ronnie Rance, and the Sports Shorts team of Tommy Christsan, Hunter McCann, and the crazy man, Joel Davis, as we break down the sports and teams that you love. The LSU Tigers, New Orleans Saints, and everything in between. Tune in Saturday mornings from 10 to noon for Sports Shorts here on Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
The heart of Acadiana is its local businesses, the people, families, and companies that help our communities thrive. Here's a message from a proud certified South Louisiana business.
Candyland Cottage is the place to satisfy all your cravings. Find delicious ice creams, fresh fudges, truffles, hot dogs, sausage po' boys, Frito pies, and homemade shakes. Visit us in Scott and Rain for a sweet treat. Plan your next birthday party or field trip at Candyland Cottage.
Shop local, support local. Certified South Louisiana.
Home electrical safety, up next from Mr. Electric. Because one power strip can clearly handle your TV, your radio, your lamp, your phone charger, your heater, and whatever else you get plugged in there. Of course, that's sarcasm. Do not overload your outlets and never run cords under rugs or furniture. And if an outlet is hot, a breaker keeps tripping, or something smells suspiciously bad, call a licensed electrician. When it comes to electricity, trying to be a hero is a great way to end up in the news for the wrong reason.
If you would like to learn more, visit MrElectric.com.
It's generator season. Here's Sean Dore with Mr. Electric.
Standby generators are automatic. These come on right as your power's off. Right when you lose power, here comes your generator power within less than a minute. And now you're running like normal. And so those generators, they're a little more expensive, but they are very convenient.
Call Mr. Electric today or see us on Facebook.
Oh, look who's here.
Everybody Loves Raymond is on MeTV.
Who told you that?
Raymond!
America's #1 classic TV network.
Nothing even comes close.
Enjoy 2 back-to-back episodes every weeknight.
We're doing it twice.
Watch Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah, it's all about you, Raymond.
Weeknights starting at 8 on MeTV.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard has led to a lot of firsts for me. It paid for me to be the first person in my family to go to school. That education got me to the first day at my dream job, which I can still hold while I serve part-time. That job and the home loan benefits I got from the Army National Guard helped me buy my first house. I also know that I will be one of the first to respond if my community ever needs me.
Sponsored by the Louisiana Army National Guard, aired by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters and this station.
The biggest headlines in the world of sports are discussed here. ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Okay, we have a lot of fun on this show. James and I have had a little running tradition around training camp time. We call it our training camp bingo cards, just because there's always going to be these quotes that you hear every year, right? My favorite, the most generic bingo card thing is a guy being in the best shape of his life, right? There just comes to be a bunch of phrasing and a bunch of things that you're always going to hear, and it doesn't really mean anything because everyone says it every year, and it's fun. It's fun to just make fun of it, right? Well, this one that I came across today does not go on my bingo card because I would not expect to see this. I did declare yesterday, James Mesh and all of you as my witnesses, that I am officially out on Jalen Hurts. I have removed myself from the Jalen Hurts bandwagon. I was kind of on it probably longer than a lot of people. Maybe it was the Super Bowls and the winning that I let cloud my judgment. Maybe he was actually a better player at one point. They just had a lot of really good things around him. Kellen Moore and that offensive staff was scheming some stuff up. He had Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, too. He had some good weapons to deal with. Last year, there came a point mid to late season where I was like, I just don't see it anymore with this guy, man. I don't know if he's going to be able to elevate his teammates. You can win with him. That's been proven. But are you going to win because of him consistently? I'm not sure. Well, anyway, I'm not the only person who's been asking questions about Jalen Hurts, right? There's kind of been some heat on him. And I know Eagles fans, if you've ever spent any time in Philly, they're not the most patient bunch in the world. They like to get things done quickly, and if you're not producing for them, no matter if you've won a Super Bowl for them or not, they like to let you know about it. So it's just, the point is it's kind of an important offseason for Hurts and company, right? They've got to get this stuff right if they want to continue to bill him as the franchise quarterback and everything that goes along with it. So I was doing my morning scrolling, making sure I'm caught up with everything in the world of sports today, and I see the Eagles official account. This was not a fan account. This was not a media account. At Eagles. Gold check mark. Verified. It said right on cue was the caption, and it was clearly Jalen Hurts dropping back to make a throw. So I thought to myself, all right, they must be trying to hype up their guy. They must be trying to get Jalen some nice pub here in the preseason. Let's see what this looks like. And it's a slow-motion video of Jalen Hurts ripping one over the seam, and I was like, oh, this must be right in stride to his tight end, right? No, the ball's about 8 yards underthrown, and Quinyon Mitchell comes in and intercepts it. And, like, it's just, they didn't have to post that, you know? Like, as silly as it might be, some of you might go, hey, it's a defensive highlight. It's a nice play from Quinyon Mitchell. Phrasing matters and like appearance matters, and you can't control the narratives, right? Because there's going to be media members at a lot of these practices that you allow to film, right? Whenever they have open practice. And then once the preseason starts, everyone can watch it. It's just, if I were the Eagles and I was in charge of their social media team, I'd be going, all right, guys, it's been a rough offseason in some ways for our quarterback, right? He's getting questioned. Let's really try and pump our guy up. Let's find ways to, if he makes a great play, let's really highlight that. Let's throw it up on the feed. And maybe they did say that, and maybe the social media team misunderstood it, but I just was like, why are they posting this video of this awful throw from Jalen Hurts? That it's not even that it was a great interception either. Like, it's an okay pick, but it's 5 yards underthrown. He wasn't under pressure. He had a clean pocket to step into. And so, like the old Brian Windhorst meme, why would they do that? Why would they post that video?
Especially when the offensive line did such a good job of like having like splitting the Red Sea, giving him a clear lane of like, this is where you're going to want to hit your dig, Jalen.
8 seconds into the clip, you're like, this is going to be an awesome throw. And then, and even as the ball, it's a nice spiral, comes off the hand well, you're like, oh, this one must be, that's the even more scary part. And look, it's one throw. I'm not like saying this is actually going to change my opinion of who Jalen Hurts is. But there's no excuse for the throw because he's in rhythm. It doesn't, his arm doesn't get hit. You know, he's not like stepping away, trying to avoid pressure. He just throws a duck. And Quinyon Mitchell does make a nice little grab on it coming over the middle. But I thought to myself, why would the Eagles do that? So in my opinion, they are not winning social media for the day. You know who is, though? That would be the Tulane Green Wave. We know Tulane's been they've been pretty good with the uniforms. And remember last year, they had these like new Mardi Gras kind of City Connect alternates that dropped, that kind of got leaked by accident by the college football video game. And at first, everybody was like, whoa, those are ambitious. And then when you saw them in person, they were actually pretty good. But the game, like people saw them on the game first, and everybody was like, what are they doing? Well, they decided this year they're going to have another little City Connect thing, and they decided to not leak them in the video game and just do their whole photo shoot post, and they look unbelievable. James, have you seen these? I think I sent them in the group chat.
Oh, yeah.
These are unbelievable.
I love the detail on the helmets.
Exactly. So Tulane dropped new Mardi Gras uniforms, and by the way, They are going to wear them against South Alabama. And this is, maybe I know a little bit too much about Tulane lore, obviously being a New Orleans native. A couple years back, Tulane and South Alabama have had a little home-and-home series going for a while now in college football. They played each other a few times in the last few years. South Alabama wore like Mardi Gras edition uniforms against Tulane and kind of threw the whole hey, we're the birthplace of Mardi Gras at them. And then Tulane won the game and they threw it back in their face on social media afterwards. So Tulane is now completing that story arc of going back and saying, hey, that whole Mardi Gras thing, we kind of do it better than you. And these uniforms, they're green. It's a different shade of green. They've taken, so what they did last year on the helmets, and I know I'm way too much of a uniform nerd for my own good, but just bear with me on this. It's August. Last year they did the city letters in New Orleans on the streets where you have the font where they put all the street names on it. They had put those on the helmet. Well, this year they put them on the jersey like that, which is kind of what they had last year as well. But it's subtly done. It's not so obvious that it's the tiles, but it is the font. And then to James's point, the helmet, they've got these kind of Mardi Gras bead patterns going in a diamond. And then more Mardi Gras beads wrapping around an Angry Wave logo, who then has a carnival hat on. That's purple and gold with him being green, obviously. Then they have that same kind of pattern around the collar, James. You saw that? And then on the stripes of the pants as well. It's one of the sharpest, themed alternates I have ever seen unveiled. And so shout out to the Tulane equipment staff, I guess Nike. They've also got Uptown written on the helmet bumpers to recognize that. And as I said, to kind of perfectly tie it all together, they are wearing them against South Alabama to try and throw that in their faces. So the Eagles lose social media for the day. The Green Wave win it. I think that's my official declaration on this whole thing. By the way, in addition to that, the Saints did make a signing today. They signed Khalil Saunders. And if you saw this signing like I did, you might have thought to yourself, oh, yeah, they brought that guy back. He's been on the team before. No, that's Colin Saunders. This is Khalil Saunders. So this is not the same player. He's a rookie defensive tackle out of Kentucky. So not to be mistaken for Colin Saunders. Khalil Saunders is a different person, and he has now been signed by the Saints. I have no idea whether or not he's going to make the team, but of course the Brzee injury, they're a little thinner up front, and they'll bring Mr. Saunders in. We'll see if he can give him any depth on the defensive line. Okay, with all that being said, while I try to make sure I don't die from my allergies, which, by the way, James, a few days back from Ohio, they still are not calming down. We're trying every form of antihistamines known to man to get this stuff in order. But if my voice sounds a little nasally, the allergies are screaming at me. But we're going to take a break. I'll get some water. When we come back, we'll start off Preview 32. James Yarko is going to talk Tampa Bay Buccaneers with us next.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh. Live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
It has, of course, been a really fun few weeks for our friends over at Small Sliders of Lafayette. They were giving away the Pro Football Hall of Fame souvenir cups. But look, the thing about Smalls is they're constantly delivering, whether it's, bringing you the eating championship that we had last month, whether it's the souvenir cups, they're always going to have reliable sliders, fries, their small sauce, the queso. You got to do it. Look, think about it this way, and I've already started to plan ahead a little bit myself. The fall's about to be here. Football watch party's going to have to get going, get it fired up, right? And if you're trying to get everybody managed and organized to watch the game at your place, you don't have to worry about food, too. Call Smalls up. They can do catering packs. They do these slider packs. They bring them to the studio whenever they come by. They're awesome. They're real organized. They're easy to kind of pass out. They stay fresh because they got these nice cardboard boxes. Whatever the number of sliders you need, they can handle it for you. So make your days, make your party planning a little bit easier this fall. Call Small Sliders for catering. Of course, you can swing by and get regular trays and combos and all that stuff as well. 2 locations, one on Ambassador Caffrey, one on Bertrand Drive. Slide through today. Tell them D-Loh sent you. You won't regret it. That's Small Sliders of Lafayette.
This game isn't fun. This game is a war.
It's time for the 2-minute drill.
Hurry it up, hurry it up, hurry it up.
Powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you.
Come on, let's go, you guys. Get in here, we gotta go fast now.
The Houston Astros dropped last night's game with the San Francisco Giants 4-1 to split the series in the Bay. Hunter Brown had an up-and-down outing going 5 innings, giving up 3 runs on 5 hits with 4 strikeouts and 3 walks. Game 3 and the rubber match will be today, and it'll be Brian King getting the start for Houston, while San Francisco has yet to name their starter. First pitch is at 2:45 p.m., and you can listen to it on ESPN, 103.7 Lafayette, and 104.1 Lake Charles. Around the AL West, the New York Yankees defeated the Seattle Mariners 4-1. The Los Angeles Angels beat the Texas Rangers 3-2, and the Tampa Bay Rays crushed the Athletics 12-4. With the Rangers loss to the Angels, Houston still sits in first place by a half game. The New Orleans Saints announced yesterday that Drew Brees will be inducted into the Saints Ring of Honor. The ceremony will take place during halftime of the Saints game against the Minnesota Vikings on October 11th in the Superdome. The NBA released its 3 opening day matchups yesterday morning, with the new season set to tip off on October 20th. The Detroit Pistons will host the Boston Celtics in the first game of the season at 2 p.m. Then at 6 p.m., LeBron James makes his 76ers debut in the Big Apple against the New York Knicks. And then the night will wrap up at 8:30 with the Oklahoma City Thunder at the San Antonio Spurs. Former Raging Cajun golfer Milan Potgieter is currently tied for 9th after the first 2 rounds of the U.S. Amateur Championship in Pennsylvania. Potgieter sits at 3 under and will begin match play today with the rest of the top 64 in the field. I'm Blake Purser, and you're listening to ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles. Your home for the LSU Tigers and the Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you. Do you need more of the fellas here on Southwest Louisiana's sports station? Of course you do. So go make sure and subscribe to ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles YouTube channel at ESPN_SWLA. Don't forget to turn that bell on so you get notifications for new episodes of 4 Tire Change Podcast, where Dawson Iserloh talks all things NASCAR, or Cleats and Sneaks with James Mesh. Get yourself more of Southwest Louisiana's sports station at ESPN_SWLA on YouTube.
Are your pipes giving you problems? Is that leaky faucet driving you crazy? Don't wait for a plumbing disaster. Call the experts at Ace Plumbing, your trusted local plumbers for over 30 years. At Ace Plumbing, we do it all. Clogged drains, water heater repairs, pipe replacements, and more. With decades of experience, we deliver fast, reliable, and affordable solutions for your home or business.
Ace Plumbing fixed my burst pipe in no time, and the price was great. They're the only plumbers I trust.
From small leaks to big emergencies, Ace Plumbing is just one call away. We're available 24/7 because plumbing problems don't wait. Call Ace Plumbing today at 337-565-2519 or visit us online at aceplumbinginc.com. That's 337-565-2519.
Ace Plumbing, your personal plumber. Let us give you a hand.
August 15th is the date for the 12th annual Fête du Teche boat procession down the Bayou Teche. The day begins with Mass en Francais with Bishop Desatel at 8 a.m. at St. Leo's Church in Leonville. The boats then depart for a Eucharistic boat procession ending in St. Martinville. Register your boat today or find out more information at fêteduteche.org or by liking their Facebook page. Don't miss the 12th annual Fête du Teche, Saturday, August 15th.
You thinking trailers? Think Tibbs. Whether you tug it, tow it, or transport it, Tibbs Trailers is your headquarters for enclosed, flatbed, and hydraulic trailers. You won't find a better selection or a better price than right here. We've got the experts to repair or customize your trailer so it'll be ready for whatever you pull it through. Why would you go anywhere else when you can go to Tibbs Trailers? Now we're talking trailers.
Between Scott and Doosan.
MeTV is America's #1 classic entertainment television network. And here's one of the reasons everybody loves MeTV.
Oh, it's a classic.
The great comedy lineup on weeknights.
This will be fun. Come on.
With MASH.
Loaded with snappy comebacks.
The Andy Griffith Show.
I was just funning with Barney.
And Everybody Loves Raymond.
Now we got a show.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
The NFL season is closer than you think. And D-Loh wants to make sure you're prepared once it's here.
I like this kind of party.
It's time for Preview 32 on the LohDown.
All right, it is year number 3 of the Preview 32 series. We have enjoyed it. We have had fun doing it. We have found basically some nice contacts and representatives from each one of these teams as well along the process. And so to start off the 2026 edition, we have back with us James Yarko, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You are first up, James. What's going on, buddy?
I'm doing all right. How are you guys?
We are good. We are good, man. So, we spent last week at the Hall of Fame talking a lot of Drew Brees, and it got me in the mood. It made me officially go, all right, football's closer than I think it is. Let's get this started. Ironically enough, I was also in Tampa a couple weeks back for SEC Media Days, so I did do some thinking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that leads us to today. It's been an interesting offseason in Tampa, hasn't it, James?
A little bit. It's a little more eventful than I think a lot of people would have cared for it to be with the Baker contract issues, the Vita trade request. But, it's also been an exciting offseason with all the additions that they made in the draft and in free agency and getting healthy again, I think is the biggest thing. So it's got its ups and downs.
What is the Baker situation going to look like moving forward with all this kind of questioning of what the future is and like how they're going to play it out this year and beyond that? What do you make of it?
I think we're going to get the best version of Baker that you can expect to get, right? And it's going to be the guy that we saw in 2023 and 2024, not so much the one that we saw in 2025 who was dealing with the injuries, had the beaten up offensive line in front of him. Mike Evans misses the most games of the season he's ever missed. Chris Godwin still trying to come back from injury. It was just a huge mess. I don't think Baker's going to focus really at all on the contract. He set the deadline. He said back in June, if it's not done by this day, I'm all about football. I'm fully focused. They're going to get the best that they can get out of me, and that's going to be it. And, that's kind of the personality that Baker has, right? The Browns count him out. The Panthers count him out. The Rams give him a shot, and he shows that he can play. And then the Bucs give him a prove-it deal, and he's rewarded with a 3-year, $100 million contract. And, all he's done really has been win. He wins the division a couple of times, succeeding Tom Brady, which no one thought he was able to do. So I don't really have any concerns about Baker for this season, and I don't really have any concerns that Baker won't be the Bucs quarterback in 2027 and beyond. I think they get it figured out.
You talk about last year, and, it was a season in which the NFC South kind of couldn't get out of its own way in a lot of ways. I think the Bucs were the favorites for a long stretch, and then, the way it ended and Carolina and all that stuff, tiebreakers, things of that nature. You said it. Like, clearly there was some stuff that was going on behind the scenes, and this team underachieved in some ways, and still they're right there with a chance at the end of the year. What was the season like as you kind of reviewed it after it all came to an end? What did you think of the way it went down in 25?
It was just frustrating. Yeah, it was the perfect storm of anything that could go wrong did. You have 9 different offensive line combinations throughout the season, and not a single one of those was your actual starting 5 from the year before that was a top 5 unit in the NFL. You had, Levante David kind of fall off a cliff with his age, and he even admitted on some podcasts that at times he was loafing. He was not the same player. And then next to him, Servassier Dennis just didn't really live up to the hope or the expectation. So you have a weakened linebacker group. You don't get anything out of Hassan Reddick, who is your quote-unquote big free agent signing to help that pass rush and help out Yaya Diaby. You lose Kalijah Cansey for the majority of the season again. It was just it was a snowball effect of one thing after another, and it seemed like this team could never really get their footing. We were talking about Baker Mayfield as a league MVP and the Bucs among the Super Bowl favorites after the first 7 or 8 weeks of the season. So for it to end the way that it did was just it was a snowball effect unlike any I've really seen in Tampa in at least the last 15 years.
You talk about some of those additions. What do you make of the way that they've changed this roster around? You talk about some of the veterans that have, obviously moved on now and some young blood getting in that locker room. What do you make of the offseason as a whole? What are kind of some of the key additions, subtractions in your mind?
Obviously, Reuben Bain is a huge addition. The fact that he fell to 15 in the draft is just an absolute mind-boggling mistake by so many teams ahead of the Bucs. But really, the name that jumps out, that a guy that has been beyond impressive, has been Josiah Trotter, their second-round pick. He has been just an absolute menace throughout training camp. He flies to the football. The combination of Josiah Trotter and Alex Anzalone, I think, is going to really remind Bucs fans of Levante David, Devin White during 2020 when they made that Super Bowl run. Anzalone, one of the best cover linebackers in the NFL. And then Trotter, sideline to sideline. He is a downhill speed power guy. And the two of them play really, really well off of each other. So kind of solidifying the middle of that defense, in addition to bringing in Reuben Bain to go along with Yaya Diaby on the edge. You have a rotation now adding Al-Qadim Muhammad out of Detroit. You have a healthy Kalijah Kancey back. You added Ashawn Robinson, who is he's just mean. And I say that in the kindest way possible, that all these additions have brought a different level of violence and nastiness that this defense has been missing ever since they didn't have JPP and Shaq Barrett and Ndamukong Suh lining up on that side of the ball.
We're talking with James Yarcho, host of the Locked On Bucs podcast, our Preview 32 series getting going here. You know, it's interesting, James. One of the themes last year, the NFC South. Now, the Bucs maybe felt like they were in control of it going in. Then we found out that wasn't the case. So we have another offseason where everyone probably feels like the division's wide open. But if all four teams feel like that, then you go, well, somebody's got to actually do something about it. What are your thoughts on the rest of the division and kind of where the Bucs stack up and how this division might be won or lost throughout the year?
I think it should still be the Bucs as the favorite. I think when you look at their roster top to bottom, it is probably the most talented. Now, I am very interested to see what the Saints look like, because they got hot at the end of the year. Tyler Shuck looked really, really good. At the same time, the level of the defenses he was facing weren't the best, that he could have faced. So I'm interested to see another year with him, how this Saints offense can continue to grow and continue to develop. And is Shuck really the guy that's going to help them contend within the NFC South? I think the Panthers are still a decent football team. Now, obviously all the teams in the NFC South have suffered like catastrophic injuries throughout training camp already. Outside of the Bucs, they're dealing with their own problems with the contracts. But I feel like it very well could wind up being the Saints, the Panthers, and the Bucs truly competing for this division. I think the Falcons are the odd man out in all of this. I don't like their quarterback situation at all. I don't think Michael Penix is the kind of guy that's going to lead them to postseason success. Who knows what Tua is at this stage in his career and all of the injuries that he has suffered. He's on the vet minimum deal because Miami's paying the salary. So I think it's going to be interesting to see which team stays the healthiest and which team can take that next step compared to where they were last year or even the year before.
All right, James, I've got a couple new things for you this year. Instead of doing a record, I want to know, in your opinion, who's the most important player on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this year? Who do they have to get it from?
Ooh, that's good. I'm going to eliminate Baker Mayfield because quarterback's always going to be the most important, right? If any of these starting quarterbacks go down, your team is in trouble. I think the big one is going to be Chris Godwin. And I think if Chris Godwin is back to being Chris Godwin, which all signs point to the fact that he is, that is going to open up so many things for this offense to be able to get back to the level they were in 2024 under Liam Cohen. When you have a receiver like Godwin that can manufacture mismatches, that can find himself open, continue to be a reliable target, move the sticks, now all of a sudden things are opening up for Emeka Egbuka. They're opening up for Jalen McMillan, who missed a lot of time with injury last year. The rookie out of Georgia State, Ted Hurst, he is going to start to become an option. But I think it really starts with Godwin. When he goes down and they have to start shifting around all these receivers, the offense just fundamentally changes. So if Godwin is back to being that dude, I think that this offense can be a top 10 for sure, but maybe even bordering on top 5 unit in the NFL.
And the last one for you, kind of along those same lines, James. And look, it's okay if it's a player you mentioned before because I think we've got a candidate for it. But how about an under-the-radar name that you think is going to break out for the Bucs this year?
I'll go Kenneth Gainwell. And what he did with Pittsburgh last year, being named the team MVP, but he was just so impressive both running and catching the ball. The role that he's going to take on this year and take some of that pressure off of Bucky Irving, who, quite honestly, was overutilized at the start of the season. And I think that kind of led to his body breaking down and the injury that he suffered and being out for so long and a very long road back. Kenneth Gainwell adding that element to this offense, giving Baker another kind of security blanket option, for checkdowns, a guy that can pick up big-time yards after catch, who's not afraid to get his nose in there and block these speedy and powerful edge rushers. I think his addition is just going to open things up a little bit, especially when you go back to look at what Zach Robinson did with Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier. Having that secondary back that you can rely on and be kind of that 1B to Bucky's 1A is really going to help out this offense.
It is good stuff as always. James, can't thank you enough for doing this, man. The season's going to be here before we know it. We will certainly talk to you throughout the season whenever the Saints and Bucs match up, man, and enjoy the rest of the offseason.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
There you have it, James Yarko first up. So there you go. That's the new twist on Preview 32 this year. I'm going to ask for the most important player on each team and an under-the-radar player. We get a couple of good ones. Chris Godwin at the receiver spot makes sense. You talk about the Mike Evans thing. And then Kenny Gainwell. Kenny Gainwell did have a really good year for Pittsburgh last year, and that was kind of one that felt like it was a little, if you're a Steelers fan, you're probably a little disappointed that he got away. But maybe he does make an impact for Tampa. So the Buccaneers first up, and we can officially check them off the board. We will be going, by the way, we're going to go in no particular order here. As we've done in the past, we've kind of tried to do it by division, but you're dealing with the schedules of 32 different people across the league. It's never going to be like perfectly in order. So we're just going to knock these off as they come up for us. So we've got already 4 more on the books, 2 tomorrow, 2 next Tuesday, and we'll keep it going quickly and thoroughly after that. We're going to get through all 32 of them. That is the promise. Let's see if we can live up to it once again. All right, we'll take a break now. When we return, we'll wrap up the first hour. We will get you an update. And let's introduce to you, actually, the poll question of the day, which we've had some fun with on socials out there. All that to close out hour 1 next.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
The annual Fête du Teche boat procession will be floating down the Bayou Teche August the 15th. Thousands of people come every year to celebrate their faith and South Louisiana heritage. The day begins with a mass by Bishop J. Douglas Deschantel at St. Leo's Catholic Church in Leonville before dozens of boats depart along the Bayou Teche to St. Martinville, retracing the voyage of the Acadians over 250 years ago. There are many stops along the way for people to pray and give public witness to their faith. For more information, visit fetdudeteche.org.
ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles is the proud winner of 4 2026 LAB Prestige Awards, including Best Use of Digital Media, Foot's Friday Fury, Best Live On-Site Remote for our Super Bowl Radio Row coverage, Best Promotion for our No Shave November initiative, and Radio Young Professional of the Year for Dawson Iserloh. We're proud of being Southwest Louisiana's sports station and are humbled to be recognized by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters.
When strength matters, go to apfabllp.com. Precision built to last, from heavy-duty aluminum structural welding using TIG, MIG, and stick to custom metal fabrication designed exactly for your project. Need safety inspections, weld analysis, or 24-hour metal repairs? Trust A&P to get the job done. For quality craftsmanship and dependable service, visit apfabllp.com. That's apfabllp.com. A&P Fabrication and Construction. Built strong, built right.
Do you know how many tax resolution firms have been forced to close because they were taking advantage of people or have gone out of business? It happens all the time. Hi, this is Kerry Bryson with the Bryson Law Firm. As a matter of fact, there are national tax relief companies that are currently under court orders to cease operations. So if you have IRS issues, do not fall for the threats and scare tactics of the national so-called tax relief companies. The Bryson Law Firm has been doing this for decades. We have a AAA BBB rating, and our entire focus is IRS problems and tax liability issues. An IRS problem is a legal problem. Let the Bryson Law Firm help you get relief the right way. So if you owe back taxes or haven't filed returns in years, it's time to call the Bryson Law Firm and finally resolve your tax issues. Don't put it off any longer. Call the Bryson Law Firm. Our headquarters are in Lafayette, and we have offices statewide. Or visit BrysonLawFirm.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Bryson Law Firm, LSB filing number LA251964.
You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers. We are normal people just like you. And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Louisiana Army National Guard. Aired by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Your Honor, I would like to introduce exhibit number 1.
MeTV is America's #1 classic television network.
There can only be one number 1, me.
MeTV features over 60 of the greatest classic TV series each week.
Go with the winner.
Enjoy dramas, comedies, westerns, sci-fi, and more.
You just watch me.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
MeTV is memorable entertainment television.
You're listening to the 2026 LAB Award winner for Radio Young Professional of the Year, Dawson Iserloh, the host of the LohDown with D-Loh on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
All right, we got a few little breaking stories here that are developing as a Wednesday goes on. First off, an all-time, well, no, let's not say it that way. Let's get our terminology correctly. One of the best point guards of his generation, is that a fair way to say it? Russell Westbrook has called it a career. He is retiring from the NBA. 18 seasons. Look, averaging a triple-double at one point. He has had a bunch of incredible accolades. It obviously didn't end great. The end of the Russell Westbrook experience was not nearly as fun as the middle of it. But also something I didn't realize, by the way, is that he played till age 37. I did not realize Russ was 37 years old, but that he is. How about this stat? He played 4 years out of his first 5 in the NBA where he did not miss a single game, 82 games played. And in that 2011-2012 season, there was a lockout shortened year in there. I don't know if that was the one. Is that the lockout shortened year of 2011-2012? Either way, the point is Russ didn't miss very many games at the beginning of his NBA career. He was durable. He went on to play 80 or more games 3 more times. So really the first decade of him being in the league, he was always out there on the floor. I mentioned the year that he averaged a triple-double, MVP award winner. He was top 5 in MVP voting for 4 straight years at one point. It's an incredible career. Some of the count stats, over 1,300 games played for Russ, averaged 8 assists per game for his entire career, was just an awesome offensive player. The athleticism was crazy. I love these basketball reference nicknames. Does anyone ever call Russell Westbrook Beastbrook? I don't know, but that's listed as an official nickname on Basketball Reference, so I guess that's a thing. But congrats to Russ on a great career, and he will begin his retirement, I suppose. The Astros, Jose Altuve got hurt last night, okay? We're about to turn you over to Astros baseball, and I'm sure that Robert Ford, Steve Sparks, and the crew will have more on this. But Jose Altuve got hit by a pitch on the foot yesterday, was removed from the game. They interviewed him today. Brian McTaggart and company got to ask him about it, and he basically kind of said that it's a little bit more sore than he thought it was going to be. He is unavailable. He will see team doctors back in Houston, which is a little unnerving, right? I think the main thing here you're hoping is that x-rays are clean and that he doesn't have any broken bones in that foot. As a person, I don't often get to compare my own physical ailments to that of professional athletes, but in this case, I have broken my foot twice, one on each foot, same exact bone on each foot. So I don't know. I think maybe it's somehow just the way that I walk and stuff. Fifth metatarsal bone. It's a tiny little bone right between the pinky toe and the side of your foot. And essentially it's a terrible bone to break because it gets very little blood flow. And for those who don't know a ton about broken bones, you need blood flow to heal. That's how your bone, kind of fixes itself. So I missed 3 games start of my junior year of football because I broke my foot playing baseball in the summer. So that was a bummer, but we came back from it. Eventually we're good. And then I was in college and I broke the same exact bone on the other foot. And that also sucked. That one healed a little quicker though. That was during intramural basketball. So we've just found ways. I've had some real freak injuries over the years, but fortunately the second one only kept me out about 3 weeks. It wasn't too bad. All right. All that being said, so my point is I hope Altuve didn't break his fifth metatarsal bone because if that's the case, his season could be over. Just saying. I have no reason to believe that's actually what happened to him. I just wanted to throw that in there. So there we go. By the way, Brian King, the former McNeese Cowboy, is going to get the ball today for the Astros. He is a relief pitcher, so they are going with the old school opener strategy. I say old school. It's actually the new school opening strategy. We'll see how long he goes, and then past that, we'll see what happens. Tracking over at the U.S. Amateur, as you might imagine, it's an amateur tournament, so there's not a ton of great live scoring options. Our guy Milan Pocketer got off to a great start, won the first hole off over William Jennings, was 1 up through 1, then lost the second hole, so they were all square. We have no data for the third and fourth holes, and then it apparently says William Jennings won the fifth hole and now is 1 up again. So I don't know if that means the third and fourth holes were just all square and they just didn't put the scoring in or what, but that's what's going on. So I'm rooting for our guy Milan to make a run here. It'd be really cool if he can go far in this thing, but so far he's struggling. How about this? The number 1 seed, Joshua Ryan, won the stroke play portion of the competition by 3 shots. He's playing the 64 seed, Taishi Moto, who got in barely, was the last player to make it through, and because of course he did, Moto won the first hole. So he's 1 up on the number 1 seed in the whole thing here, Joshua Ryan. Some other notables I mentioned, Tyler Watts is the 2 seed. He's one of the biggest amateur golfers in the world. He's got a huge future ahead of him. Many people in the golf world think. Miles Russell, told you about him earlier. He's the number 6 seed in this thing. He'll play a little bit later on as well. So, that's probably the extent of the U.S. Amateur coverage I'll do for you, but we will keep an eye on Milan Pocketer and see if he can make a run here on William Jennings and keep this thing rolling throughout the rest of the day. And obviously, if he wins today, that means he plays tomorrow as well. So we've only got about 20 minutes left on the show here today. We do have Zach Nagy. He's going to be basically how we finish things up. We'll talk with him at the beginning of the second hour. We haven't had Zach on in a couple weeks. We had Astros baseball last Wednesday, wiped it out. So we'll talk with Zach about fall camp. We'll get an update. We'll kind of get caught up here. We've heard from Sam Levitt. He's speaking to the media now. It's more here than it was. The last time when we talked with Zach about SEC Media Days and stuff, right, it was still we haven't heard from Sam Levitt yet. What's that going to sound like when he finally gets the chance to talk to the media? All those boxes have been checked. There's plenty of video from those who have been out at practice of Sam moving around, throwing the football well. And, of course, there is more to the football team than just the quarterback, so we'll talk about that as well. What's it looked like so far? What are his thoughts? And what's this next phase going to look like? So we'll do that to start and finish our abbreviated second hour. And then, as we mentioned before, Astros daytime baseball, we'll hand it over to Steve Sparks, Robert Ford, and the crew right around 2:15 because they've got a 2:45, a little bit of a unique start time out on the West Coast. They're finishing up a West Coast road trip today with the finale against San Francisco. It is a rubber match of that series, by the way. Astros have lost a couple series in a row, so they'd like to get this one today and head back to Houston with a better taste in their mouth when they begin a weekend series against the Mariners on Friday. They're off tomorrow. So all that to finish out the day. We'll be back. We'll come out and finish strong with the last abbreviated hour of this show. You're listening to the LohDown. Stay tuned.
The best businesses aren't just businesses, they're neighbors. Here's a message from a proud certified South Louisiana business.
Brobridge Truck Stop Casino. They have the newest games around. Hot seat drawings and monthly specials like no one else. located on the Breaux Bridge Highway and on the banks of the Vermilion River. Come out today and try your luck at the Breaux Bridge Truck Stop Casino.
When you support local businesses, you strengthen the communities we call home. Shop local, support local, certified South Louisiana.
Did you know you can get great tasting Clear Springs artesian water delivered to your office or your doorstep at home? Clear Springs is 100% local with their own bottling facility at the world-famous Kentwood Aquifer, no chemicals added. Just pure Kentwood, Louisiana artesian water. Clear Springs Water offers delivery of 5 or 3 gallon water service with a hot and cold temperature water cooler or even single-serve bottles delivered to your home or office. Easy to reach, clearsprings.net, then contact us tab or 337-519-3563.
It's 9 a.m. You just received a voicemail from your boss.
Hey, Janet. Heads up. We got an important meeting coming up Thursday. The big guys are coming into town, so I need you in charge of lunch, and we've got to look good.
Luckily for Janet, she knows a place, and she knows her boss will be impressed.
Honey Baked Ham can cater your next event. Delicious and freshly sliced deli trays, box lunches with sandwich, chips, and dessert. Or try our fresh salad boxes and the perfect touch with a meat and cheese tray. Honey Baked Ham Company.
We are the soldiers of the Louisiana Army National Guard. We are your neighbors. We are your sons and daughters. While we serve part-time, we are learning valuable life and job skills. We are earning money for college, for trade and technical schools, and for certifications. We are proud to serve both our country and our home state. We are your Louisiana Army National Guard.
Sponsored by the Louisiana Army National Guard. Aired by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Live from Upper Lafayette, this is ESPN 1037 KLWB Carencro Lafayette, KLCJ-FM Oak Grove Lake Charles 1041, a Delta Media station.
I'm Christine Lisi. For the second time in less than a year, the Los Angeles Lakers are being sold to Josh Kushner, founder of Thrive Capital, and former Disney CEO Bob Iger for a record-breaking price of $12.5 billion from Mark Walter. The sale still needs approval by the NBA's Board of Governors. As the Browns' quarterback competition between Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders continues, first-year coach Todd Monken outlined his preseason plan for each. He said they'll see both of them. One starts this week, one next week. Each will play about a half. ESPN NFL analyst Louis Riddick.
Look, I think right now, with the new coaching staff, a new regime, they need to kind of just take this day by day and let the chips fall where they may. Let the players' play speak for itself. What I care about is production on the football field, and not looking forward to the 2027 draft and trying to put all your eggs in that basket and go, hey, look, we don't really need to really settle this situation out this year because we're going to address it next year. They've been trying to address it next year for years.
Falcons quarterback Tua Tagovailoa will start Friday's preseason opener, has not been named the starting quarterback for the regular season, though. Michael Penix Jr. still coming back from ACL surgery, not cleared.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ Chris Candy coming up Thursday. The Steelers know this is Aaron Rodgers' last ride, so what should fans expect from him? It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Dawson Iserloh prides himself on taking a deep dive to uncover all the relevant data about the sports and sports teams he loves. And now he's sharing all those facts inside his big brain with all of you. Here is the LohDown with D-Loh on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
It is the LohDown, hour number 2 of 2 here, ESPN 1037 in Lafayette, 1041 in Lake Charles. Anywhere you are with ESPN Southwest Louisiana mobile app and streaming live on YouTube every single day. We have a shortened second hour on the show here. We're just going to do 15 minutes, and then we're going to hand you straight off to the Houston Astros. Some daytime getaway day baseball. The Astros are out in San Francisco. They face the Giants today. They're off tomorrow with a travel day, and then they start a 3-game home series against the Seattle Mariners, who, by the way, have been slumping mightily. It is appearing to turn back into a 2-team race between the Astros and the Rangers in the AL West right now. But that is then. This is now. We have our last guest of the day, our friend Zach Nagy, who, of course, covers the LSU Tigers, is back with us here with a ton of fall camp stuff to get to. Zach, it's getting closer, man. How's the tail end of the offseason treating you?
It's doing good. Well, it's doing good, man. It's doing really well right now, Dawson. It's been a fun time out there on the Ponderosa. Fall camp is in full swing, like you said. I mean, it's this final hurdle, right, before we start to get into big-time season mode. Lane Kiffin and company are really putting in a ton of work during fall camp. Officially wrapped up day 7 this morning with a walkthrough. And then tomorrow, they'll continue to kind of up the intensity with more physicality and then, of course, get into some more contact.
So Sam Levitt, it was, a lot of the things after media days were like, well, we still haven't heard from him, but we're seeing these good things. Now he has talked to the media. There's been availability for him. So you've been able to match up seeing the physical stuff, seeing the traits with also getting to pick his brain a little bit. What's jumped out to you about Sam early in camp so far?
Yeah, no doubt, man. I think when you sit back and you talk about Sam Levitt, he plays with a ton of swagger. He gives me a lot of kind of pieces of Jackson Dart's game. I don't want to sit there and put these lofty expectations of a first-round quarterback and this, that, and the other on Sam Levitt, but the swagger that he has on the field reminds me a lot of Jackson Dart. And then getting the chance to catch up with him, of course, after practice earlier this week, it's clear that there's a ton of confidence in his game as well. He's healthy, he's ready to roll, and he started to develop a ton of rapport with his receivers, namely Winnie Watkins, Jackson Harris, and Jace Brown, who I have really high hopes for, man. I think Jace Brown has looked really strong in camp this week, and that connection between him and Sam Levitt is on full display. So it's been a really strong start for Sam. Lane Kiffin continues to really talk highly of him and that NFL mindset that he presents. So it's been a really, really strong start. Continuing to get that timing down is going to be of the utmost importance after missing the bulk of spring camp. But I'll tell you what, LSU's got their franchise quarterback here right now. QB1 is looking the part, and day by day he continues to look sharper and sharper out there. I think the rest of this week, and then, of course, into next week, you'll start to see him look extremely polished as he kind of knocks these cobwebs off.
Yeah, one thing that's interesting, Zach, is just the leadership element of this. And look, players can lead in different ways. And, some teams, especially in college football, maybe have a coach that acts more of the big-time leader than the quarterback. But just the fact that Sam did have to be, kind of doing his own thing as far as the rehab process throughout the offseason, do you get any sense of, him maybe playing catch-up as a leader, or is this team really bought into him? What do you make of that element of just – we know the quarterback position has to provide that in some ways.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point, Dawson. I think there was a primary focus on getting guys back like Whit Weeks and Trey'Dez Green to be kind of those vocal leaders and lead by example type of players while your starting quarterback was working through rehab. So getting Whit back and Trey'Dez was massive when it came to the leadership perspective on this team. But fast forward to the summer when Sam Levitt got fully cleared in June, he was the guy who was running those player-led workouts. Lane Kiffin specifically said at SEC Media Days that was one of the primary reasons why Sam wasn't in Tampa, was because he wanted him to continue to lead those player-led workouts, specifically on that day. So he's continuing to get there. Of course, it could take time potentially, but from what we've seen during the small sample size of fall camp, he's been vocal, he's been attentive, and he's working really closely with his receivers. I think that leadership ability is going to be on full display, and you're going to need it, man. When you have 55-plus newcomers on this roster, somebody's going to have to take charge. We know that Trey'Dez has done it. We know that Whit Weeks will always do that. And then having your starting quarterback do it as well is extremely important. We're starting to see that day by day, of course, with Sam.
What about what Kiffin's had to say so far? How do you think Lane has liked the start to this camp, and what do you think he wants them to be working on here?
Yeah, I think right now the primary focus is on physicality. They're in full pads yesterday. They got after it. There was some contact that, of course, we didn't see during week one. It was all about ramping things up. Lane talked about it last week after day one, saying that they want to avoid soft tissue injuries that'll linger, primarily with the cornerbacks and the wide receivers. So that being said, week one was kind of a slow ramp-up period for them. They didn't necessarily go long on the field. There wasn't a ton of contact. Just a lot of position drills and getting their feet back underneath them after a really, really eventful summer for the program. For Lane, I think the primary focus now is getting fundamentally sound, of course, when it comes to tackling, avoiding injuries when you're putting such really big financial investment into this roster. You do not want to see any more injuries like you've seen, of course, from Gabe Relaford and Aiden Anding. So you want to avoid that. But for Lane, it's just about continuing to ramp things up. That's kind of been his main message. And, of course, getting fundamentally sound. I know I said that a second ago, but look, you have so many newcomers here. You got to continue to coach them up and get them right. And I think that's what we've seen a really, really big focus on over these first 7 days of camp. I think as we move into these next 7 days of camp moving forward, you're going to see a lot more rotations emerge, position battles continue to heat up, and then more importantly, contact. That's what they need to do. I think that's what we're going to start to see even more of.
Zach Nagy is our guest. LSU for 247 Sports joins us here, giving a fall camp update. I've been seeing the clips, Zach. The receivers, they're popping. You already alluded to a couple of them at the start. What's been that kind of vibe? Feels like the depth, maybe more than anything. Is there one guy, or is it just more a combination of a bunch?
No, it's a shame they posted a clip of Philip Wright III today, because that was going to be one of these kind of like quote-unquote hot takes that I was going to throw out there and say, yeah, they got 10-plus newcomers through the portal in the high school ranks. They only returned one receiver, Philip Wright. He looks great, blah, blah, blah. I would have come out here and given you all that, coach speak or whatever there. But, no, Philip Wright has looked really good. He's a guy that's caught my eye so far. And, of course, like I was saying, he's the only returning receiver that came back from the 2025 roster. So a ton of depth here, Dawson. At the top, you have these four receivers that have really risen to the top. And it's Winnie Watkins, Jackson Harris, Jace Brown, and Eugene Wilson. To me, Dawson, those are the four guys that are going to get a bulk of the reps here. But you can't sleep on guys like Philip Wright, like I was just saying a second ago, Malik Elzy, Roman Mothershed, and so on. You have so many bodies in that receiving core that you could likely go 7 deep any night, whether it's Alabama, whether it's Louisiana Tech, whoever you're playing. You have so many reliable pass catchers to fall back on. And that doesn't even include Trey'Dez Green, who has the chance to be one of, if not your best pass catchers on the team this year. So a ton of bodies for Sam Levitt to work with. I say it time and time again, it's an embarrassment of riches in the passing game. Really excited to see how it comes together. The receiving core has been absolutely popping over the first 7 days of camp.
One of the interesting things about this roster, Zach, we talked about it a little bit in the offseason, was they had all these young guys, and you just wonder which ones of them are going to pop, who's going to maybe have a chance to make an impact early on. It sounds like there have been a few. What about some of the freshmen that have caught your eye so far?
Yeah, man, it's your cliche answer here, right? Like I'm going to tell you, Lamar Brown, Deuce Geralds, and Richard Anderson, your trio of defensive linemen who signed with the program as highly touted players, right? Lamar Brown, the number one athlete in America. Richard Anderson, the number one defensive lineman in America. And then Deuce Geralds, who right now looks the most polished and game ready, signed with LSU as the number one defensive lineman in Georgia and a top 5 defensive lineman in his class. So when you go out and you get these highly touted players who are SEC ready from a physicality perspective, you're going to be in good shape. And those are the 3 guys that have really popped to this point. For right now, man, I would not be surprised to see the likes of Deuce Geralds and Richard Anderson being your starting defensive tackle duo come week 1 against Clemson. And how rare is that, Dawson? How crazy is that? In an era of transfer portal where you go out and you get seasoned vets time and time again, how crazy would it be to have 2 starting freshmen as your defensive tackles week 1? They're trending in that direction, and I would not be surprised if that was the case. Malik Blockton, an Auburn transfer, is going to continue to push for reps there. But I'll tell you what, Deuce Geralds can be penciled in as a starter. Will Richard Anderson, his fellow true freshman, be alongside him? Time will tell, but it's certainly looking like it's trending that way right now.
It is crazy to think, and I even go back, I wonder too, I mean, what does that mean for someone like Dominic McKinley? And maybe that's a good comparison point, right? We heard a lot of good things, but we clearly knew when he started off as a freshman there were still some growing pains to go through. I imagine you're kind of implying that these two are ahead of where he was that first fall camp as a freshman.
Undoubtedly. And for Dominic, man, he was battling a turf toe injury during his first fall camp, and it didn't necessarily give him the chance to get out and go with this coaching staff because he was battling a small little injury there that lingered into the year. But even then, if he was 100%, you're talking about Deuce Geralds and Richard Anderson, who are so physically imposing, who are so polished, who continue to get coached up by the likes of Ed Orgeron, Kevin Peoples, Sterling Lucas. They are extremely advanced. And, of course, you want to be technically sound when you're playing in the trenches and be prepared for some experienced offensive linemen. But catching up with LSU center Braylon Moore this week, the one quote that really kind of took my attention was saying, these guys are going to be great, of course, but they are really physically prepared and are better than some fourth-year players that he's played against. And you're talking about Braylon Moore, who played in the SEC last year, played multiple years in the ACC with Virginia Tech. So that's high praise from a veteran offensive lineman who's going up against these 2 guys along that interior defensive line day in and day out. Really excited for Deuce Gerald. Really excited for Richard Anderson. And as Lamar Brown continues to get more acclimated in practice after being a summer enrollee, I think you're in really good shape in the future when it comes to the trenches, man.
It is only the beginning. 1 week of camp in the books. Zach, appreciate your time as always, my friend. We'll have plenty more to get to next week, and the season's going to be here before we know it, man. Enjoy it.
Absolutely, man. Looking forward to it. I didn't get to catch up with you last week, but got to give a shout-out to Dawson for the promotion, man. That's super exciting. Really proud of you, and Dawson's killing it, man. So appreciate you, and we'll catch up next week.
And I appreciate you, Zach. Thank you for doing that. Zach Nagy, our friend from 24/7 Sports, covering the LSU Tigers, giving us the latest from fall camp. We will have him, of course, on each and every week from here on out as we roll through. Another season of LSU Sports is almost here. All right, that's going to do it for us here on the show today. As I told you, we are sending it off to the Houston Astros in just about 1 minute. The Astros are facing the Giants. It is getaway day. Then they have an off day tomorrow. They'll face the Mariners in a 3-game set beginning on Friday at Daikin Park back home in Houston. Brian King gets the ball against Adrian Hauser today. Jose Altuve's out of the lineup with that foot injury. Still hoping for the best from that, but you got Jeremy Pena, Yordan Alvarez, and the crew trying to keep things rolling. Cam Smith's been red hot. Can he keep things going? Will be interesting to see what it looks like against this Giants team that only enters 50-70. It's been a rough year for the Giants, but the rubber match of that series is today, so the winner of this one will take it. And if the Astros get the win, that'll help make a long trip back home a little bit more enjoyable, I imagine. So we'll be back with a normal show, normal time length tomorrow, 1 to 3 p.m. I will be out on Friday, but we got you covered with our friend Jarrett Rozier. So tomorrow, normal show. For now, we hand it over to Robert Ford and Steve Sparks as you are listening to ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.